happen, we're going to figure out some structures. So what I'm sharing is, change is coming. We love this little basket. But it's not going to facilitate what God is going to pour into our lives, into our lives, into our congregation. And so we want to be ready for that. Healthy things grow. I don't know if you thought about this. Growth actually means something has changed. Some of you are young moms, young dads. These kids grow. Things change. That's part of God's plan. So appreciate and value the moment, but you prepare for the future. So we appreciate everything that God has done here. We value where we're at right now, but we have to, as leaders, be looking ahead and saying, how do we proactively prepare and increase this structure so we can catch and not lose what God is going to pour into our lives? I'm going to promise you this. I won't make random changes without purpose. Okay? We will think through things, we will talk, we will discuss, we will work together and try to figure this stuff out. We're not just going to copy other places. But I saw this last week. This will really surprise you that I have this book in my office. It's called Beyond the Far Side. Yeah, I do heavy reading. Well, come visit my office someday. I'll go through the library. This is awesome. I thought I'll blow it up, try and give you a picture of it, but it's, maybe you've seen this one before. You got like 7 ducks walking in the shape of a V, walking across a field. And they look up and one sees this other line of ducks flying, and the one says, well, say, look what they're doing. Walking ducks. They're walking south for the winter. And they go, what? Hey, I never thought of that. So we may be able to look and learn from other places and get some ideas that might work better. We can walk south for the winter if you want. But maybe we should learn from some of these other spots and say, well, there's some processes and principles that we can implement. They're going to help us go further and fly higher. And so we want to do that. Here are some of the things I see right now, just in the brief time I've been here, that we're going to have to look at. And honestly, we're going to have to get a hold of them. Here's one of them. First of all, we want Hillside Church to be a safe place. Parents care about the safety and the security of their kids. We do too. For it to be a safe place and for people to interpret that and to understand and conclude that this is a safe place, there's a few things that we're going to have to focus on. Here's one of them. We're going to have to figure out how are we going to check kids in and check kids out of areas. I know that in a smaller church, everybody knows everybody. I dare say in this room, not everybody here knows everybody. And this is just a small contingency of the people that walk through these doors. And so we have to figure out how to check in and check out people. We want to figure it out. We got to figure out in our facility how do we best do that. Here's an example. In kids' church, I have some rules. One of the rules is this: stay in your zone. Stay in your zone. Meaning, when you're sitting down on that chair, stay in that chair. When we're playing a game, you're in this area, stay in that area. Stay in your zone. And I believe stay in your zone applies to this area. There are places where we're supposed to be when we're supposed to be there. And there's places where you just don't need to be. This is going to shift a little bit. I know a couple of weeks ago, my wife heard something, so she walks upstairs to the youth area during service, and there's kids running around playing with them. A few weeks ago, on a Sunday morning, Pastor Amy came walking down the hall and looks into a preschool room here. There's 2 5th and 6th grade girls tearing down VBS decorations. And it's during service time. And Amy says, well, what are you doing? We went to use the bathroom. This isn't it. This is not the bathroom. supposed to be. Are you from kids? No, they're not going to kids' church. They had been in the adult service with their parents, and they came out and hung out for 15 minutes just running around the building. This is not safe. This is not secure. Now, I'm talking about not just for the building people, but for the girls. And I can tell you stories. I don't want to take a lot of time to tell you stories, but I can tell them to you. I can tell you about my brother's church, where a kid walked down the hallway to go to the bathroom, and somebody pulled him into a side room and molested the kid. I can tell you about the church that I served at in Illinois, where a worker walked a boy down a hallway to the classroom he was supposed to be in, and the next day, the mom shows up in my office with police detectives, accusing that man of molesting the boy. Nothing has to happen in order for there to be problems. And so, for safety and security's sake, I know that people say, it'll never happen. Well, it'll never happen here. It'll never. Every church has happened in has said that. Every one of them. I have many, many more stories. If you want me to keep going, I can do that. But let's not. Let's just make the good decision that we're going to figure out how to keep these kids safe and secure. Let's be proactive. I just encourage people, be where you're supposed to be. When we go to church so we can go to church. I know it's a radical idea. So let's make sure our kids are where they need to be. We're going to check them in. We're going to check them out. My wife, church we were at, the dad came to pick up a kid, preschool. I'm taking my child. No, looks at the list. The dad had not checked the child in. The dad did not have a tag. The dad did not have but this is his child. Divorce situation. The dad knew the kid was at church. Came pulled up while the parent was sitting in the adult sanctuary. If that dad had got on the road and gone, where? We had ushers come running. Because we had a system set up to help deal with these types of situations. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to modern day America. And to think that we can ignore it, we're not being wise. Safety and security. Never be alone with a child. Never be alone with a child. Nothing has to happen for an accusation to be made. That's what happened to this friend of mine at that church in Illinois. Nothing happened. Did it matter? No, he was done. He was done in kids' ministry. He was done in all ministry. Because an accusation is made. This is one of the few areas where you are guilty until proven innocent. Never be alone with a child. I don't want to be paranoid, but I want to be wise. So you're going to hear this for the days, the months, and years to come. Never be alone with a child. We need to process worker applications with background checks. You're probably not aware that there's a statistic that says about 80% of child molesters apply to work with kids in the church. You can go online and you can go to pedophile websites and watch videos of pedophiles with their hidden video cameras going through church events, scoping out kids. I have a friend that went through, had a person, big church, fill out a worker app, filled the whole thing out. He did a background check, found out this guy had served time for molesting kids. And he's applying to work in children's ministry at the church. He calls him in for an interview and goes, "What were you thinking?" And the guy just said, "I didn't think you'd follow through. I didn't think you'd actually do a background check." I'm just telling you, this is happening in churches across the country. And we want to believe the best. We're going to treat people with respect. respect, but we're going to be wise. We're going to be wise. And I know, since I really don't know any of you really well yet, it's okay. I'll tell you this. People say, you don't trust me? You might have another worker say that to you if you're a leader. What? You don't trust me? Here's the answer. No, I don't. Because everybody's always surprised who the person is that ends up doing something crazy. No. And if people refuse to fill out a worker app, as a parent, I go, why wouldn't they be willing to even fill that out? What's the reason for that? Why would you refuse to fill out a worker application? So it's something we're going to follow through on because we want our kids to be safe. We want them to be secure. Is it convenient for you to take 3 minutes and fill it out? No, but is it worth it? Yes. Please. Let's take care of that. I know, you know Pastor Mark is even filling one out. My wife and I are filling them out. We haven't been here long enough to even. I started searching through the office. Where are those forms? I gotta get that filled out. And we'll have background checks done on us. We're gonna do it. So please. All right, I know time is running down here, and I don't have a clock, I don't have a watch. Some of you already know. What is it? 10 after 10? I'm going to take just a little bit of time to answer some questions. Just give some perspective, and I value your time. So thank you so much for coming out today. And I look forward to great stuff in the future with this. Questions that I can answer, there's maybe some burning questions that you've had about my childhood or yes.
We had a Wednesday night, and I still don't know how to answer her. But one of the workers had 2 different girls approach her and she said they were not. She just wanted to know what our procedure was for
Reporting? Well, I haven't been here very long, so what is our procedure? We don't have one. So we might need to build a structure. Right? So we have a way to respond when these things happen. I know this. Minnesota law states, well, you can talk to me about this. You probably are aware being in the school district. We're mandatory reporters. We are mandatory reporters. Now, I think there's a place for some discernment to say, okay, is this, a kid who's just had a rough day, Okay, is that what's going on? And that's where it's great when you have the consistency of relationship. You can discern some of that stuff. Makes it easier. And generally, they must feel safe with that worker in order to even be able to share some of that. So, I know this, the first thing we do is we pray for those kids. And I just pray for them right there. So let's make that policy right now. We pray for kids when we pray for families. And I would take a moment, I just pray with them right there. Now, I don't want to dig for information. We are not professional counselors. And so we are not the ones that are going to do that. But I can say, listen, I will pray with you. And I know God's plan is for your good. It's not to harm you, but to prosper you and give you hope in the future. And so let me pray with you. If something really comes and rises up, then maybe this worker came to you because of that. As I said, you take it to the next level of authority. You take it to the next level of who's in charge, and you hand it to them. And if they need to, then they make phone calls. And they start having appointments, and they start talking to people to discern what's going on. Well, okay. And so we can talk more about specifics of what's happening there. The problem is we want to judge the situation and make a decision on, but that's maybe not even our role. And that's why being a mandatory reporter, that really takes it out of our hands. We're not even the ones. There are times I've had to call social services, and social services will make a visit to the home. That has happened in the past. And honestly, for the good of the child, I mean, do we want to get messed up? Well, you're judging me. No, I'm not. I'm not judging you. All I know is this, is that there's been a need expressed, and we want to make sure your kids are safe and healthy. So there's times when we hand it over to different levels of authority. And we'll try to spell it out in the days ahead.